Sulabhamanava janama satsange. Sulabhamanava janama satsange. Sarohe baba sindure. Sarohe baba sindure. Chapa Pachavari Chana Sedina Jamini Yagire Chapa Pachavari Chana Sedina Jamini Yagire Vipale Vinu Kipana Dorajana Vipale Vinu Kipana Dorajana Apala Chukalava Lagire Apala Chukalava Lagire Dana Yovana Kuchapari Jana Teke Achipara Chitire Dana Yovana Kuchapari Jana Teke Achipara Chitire Kamala Jala Jala Jivana Talamala Kamala Jala Jala Jivana Talamala Ajaho Hari Pada Vipine Ajaho Hari Pada Vipine Shavana Kirtana Marana Vandana Harisevana Dasyare Shavana Kirtana Marana Vandana Harisevana Dasyare Ujana Saki Jana Anmani Vedana Ujana Saki Jana Anmani Vedana Govinda Dasavi Translation.
O mind, just worship the lotus feet of Son of Nanda,
which makes one fearless, both in the day and the night.
Having this rare human birth cross over this ocean of worldly existence through the association of saintly persons.
both in the day and at night, I remain sleepless, suffering the pains of the heat and the cold and the wind and the rain. For a fraction of flickering happiness, I have uselessly served the wicked and miserly men. What assurance of real happiness is there in all of one's wealth, youthfulness, sons, and family members? This life is tottering like a drop of water on a lotus petal. Therefore, we should always serve and worship the divine feet of Lord Hari. It's the desire and the great longing of Govindadasa to engage himself in the 9 processes of Bhakti, namely hearing the glories of Lord Hari and chanting those glories, constantly remembering him and offering prayers to him, serving the Lord's lotus feet, serving the Supreme Lord as a servant, worshipping him with flowers and incense and so forth, serving him as a friend and completely offering the Lord's one's very self.
Jai Gauradesh ki. Okay. Reading a Harisari's Chandra diary from Nellore, Andhra Pradesh. Moreover, he reported a boom in book distribution. The DC Temple selling over 300 big books and 2,000 Back to Godheads daily on the streets and in the airport. He also enclosed a list of devotees for initiation and a declaration of their love and commitment. Prabhupada was very happy to hear such news and pleased to oblige his request. I am very pleased that you have now got such a wonderful property in the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. The photos show that there is a good opportunity to develop it into a very important center. And since you say that it is in the most aristocratic location, it is certainly Krishna's mercy. If you can make arrangement for me to meet the president, I shall surely go. As far as your desire to have Sita Ram deities, it is a good idea, but you should wait for some time. First see that you have sufficient Brahmins who are very well trained and qualified. Then you consider to install Sitaram, Lakshman, and Hanuman. They are the ideal king, and it will be very suitable that they reign over the capital of America. Now you have got Gaurnita deities, so you can go ahead and get Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhanta deities immediately. Guru and Gauranga worship is standard for all our temples. In accepting his new disciples, especially the Brahmins, his concern over raising the standards showed. Enclosed are the sacred threads for the Brahmins. They should be allowed to hear the Gayatri Mantra through the right ear from the tape recording. Brahmin means to be very clean, inside by chanting the Lord's glories and outside by regular bathing. Teach everyone to be your personal example. Also, you must see that the Brahmins are given sufficient time to read the books. Soon we shall be introducing Bhakti Shastra examination, which all Brahmins will be expected to pass. It will be based on Bhagavad Gita, Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instruction, Isha Upanishad, and the small paperback books like Easy Journey. A Brahmin should be a Pandit. Okay, that's the end of that paragraph. Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. Om Jnana Timidandasya Janagana Salakayam Chakshit Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manubhistam Shapitam Jena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Karamaya Dadati Sapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Atavar Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatan Sagana Raganatan Vitam Sajivam Advaitam Sadvarutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Vitam Cha Hey Krishna Karana Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishavanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpa Tiruvasya Kripa Sindhu Vaivasya Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Rama. I don't want that open. No. Thank you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 1, Text 52. Is it on the board? Yes. Deyagyo Jita Sadvargo. Deyagyo Jita Sadvargo. Deyagyo Jita Sadvargo. Deyagyo Jita Sadvargo. Nishchan Karmani Karyate. Nishchan Karmani Karyate. Koshakara Ivatmanam. Koshakara Ivatmanam. Kamanachchadya Moriti Yati. Kamanachchadaya Muryati. Deyagya Jitasad Vargo. Nishchan Karmani Karyate. Koshakara Ivatmanam. Kamanachchadya Muryati. Bolo.
Deyagyo Jita Sadvargo.
Deyagyo Jita Sadvargo.
Nishchan Karmani Karyate.
Nishchan Karmani Karyate.
Koshakara Ivatmanam.
Koshakara Ivatmanam.
Karmanashchadya Muhyati.
Kamanachchadya Muryati.
Deyagyo Jita Sadvargo.
Deyagyo Jita Sadvargo.
Nishchan Karmani Karyate.
Nishchan Karmani Karyate.
Koshakara Ivatmanam.
Koshakara Ivatmanam.
Karmanakshadya Muryati.
Kamanachchadya Muryati. Mataji's. Deyagyo Jita Sadvargo. Nishchan Karmani Karyate. Koshakara Ivatmanam. Kamanachchadya Muryati. One more. Deyagyo Jita Sadvargo. Nishchan Karmani Karyate. Koshakara Ivatmanam. Kamanachchadya Muryati. Dehi. The embodied soul. Agya. Without perfect knowledge. Ajita Sadvarga. One who has not controlled the senses of perception and the mind. Naishchan. Without desiring. Karmani. Activities for material benefit. Karyate. Is caused to perform. Koshakara. The silkworm. Iva. Like. Atmanam. Himself. Kamana. By fruit of activities. Achadya. Covering. Muryati. Becomes bewildered. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. foolish embodied living entities, inept at controlling his senses and mind, is forced to act according to the influence of the modes of material nature against his desires. He is like a silkworm that uses its own saliva to create a cocoon and then becomes entrapped in it with no possibility of getting out. The living entity traps himself in a network of his own fruitive activities and then can find no way to release himself. Thus he is always bewildered and repeatedly he dies. So we have to, everybody understand, we have to translate? No. Okay, so very nice example of the silkworm, how it makes a cocoon and then it can't get out. But this is what we're doing. By our karma, we're creating situations that we can't escape from. Even the karmis know that. They can't break their habits. They do the same thing again. There's a saying like that. It's foolish to do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. But that's what we do in the material world. We know there's no happiness, but still we're trying again and again. If a Prahlad describes chewing the chewed, if somebody is taking the sugar cane and squeezing all the juice out and then throws the cane on the ground, if somebody comes and picks it up, you're not going to get any taste out of that. Simply the problem is chewing. So this is our position. We're chewing the chewed. Prahlad describes like that. Chewing the chewed, and then there's no more taste, and then we get frustrated, and then we sing, I can't get no satisfaction. And this is the material world. It's going on like that since time immemorial. With the hope, the Lord is giving us this system so that we can realize we're making a mistake and turn to the spiritual side. There is happiness, but not on the material side. So we need books like the Srimad Bhagavatam, especially Bhagavatam, is meant for those who are, you can say, after Krishna left the planet, this Bhagavatam becomes the representative of Krishna. What's that verse? Anybody knows? Something about the Srimad Bhagavatam is the light that appears after Krishna leaves this world. So that Bhagavatam was spoken after Krishna had already left the planet. So it's giving light. It's like when Krishna was here, he was giving light. So now Srimad Bhagavatam is the pure representative of Krishna. Therefore Prabhupada spent so much time and bringing the Bhagavatam to America, and every night spending hours writing and giving us these wonderful purports. Now we're going to read the purport. So this is the system. To hear the message of the Lord from the right source, and then we'll begin to get attached to the Lord. Without getting attached to the Lord, we're going to remain attached to mundane things. Because by nature, we're looking for some happiness. Because our nature is full of joy. So we don't find happiness on this side, that side. We go on searching, birth after birth. No way to come out. Very nice example. Purport, Srila Prabhupada. As already explained, the influence of the modes of nature is very strong. The living entity, entangled in different types of fruitive activities, is like a silkworm trapped in a cocoon. Getting free is very difficult unless he is helped by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore we say, by the mercy of Krishna, we get a guru. By the mercy of Guru, we get Krishna. So we won't get a guru without the mercy of Krishna. Krishna will see that we're sincere to know him. Therefore, he'll send us into the association of pure devotees. So that's all of you get that credit. You come to the right source, and you can find a guru, and then by mercy of Guru and Krishna, then your life will be perfect. Both are required to get out of this material existence, to get out of this cocoon that we've wrapped around ourselves by misuse of independence. So human form of life is the opportunity to get out. Otherwise, what is the difference between humans and animals? The only difference is that humans can inquire, Tata Brahma Jigyasya, why am I suffering? What is death? Why there's so much chaos and cruelty in the world? So much, you can say, upheaval, like I was mentioning yesterday. Another war has started. Already thousands of people have died in Israel and Gaza Strip. So these things are inevitable because people are sinful. And this is the result. But the intelligent person will take impetus from this and make a determination. I don't want to remain in this world. It's simply a place of conflict and envy. This is a disease. Everyone is envious. The Palestinians are envious of the Jews are envious of the... Like this, there's no limit. It goes on. And because originally we're envious of Krishna. That's why we come here. Prabhupada said very clearly, if we find somebody free from envy, they can be worshipped. So this is a disease that's common in every living entity in the material world. So we have to. And therefore, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, because you're never envious, he tells Arjuna, therefore, I'm choosing you to hear this message. I'm explaining this subject to you because you're never envious. So envy is very subtle. The materialist, he wants to, someone is more advanced, he wants to bring them down to his level. Someone is less advanced, he wants to keep them below. Someone is equal, he advertises himself. But for the devotee, someone is more advanced, he appreciates. He tries to have association with them because he benefits from that association. Someone is equal, he opens his mind and reveals it, and they try to help each other to become more Krishna conscious. Someone is less advanced, they show mercy. But in this world, no one has that quality. They may show some mercy, as long as it doesn't really affect them. And even those like Mother Teresa, they're doing so much work, whole life dedicated to help the poor. But still they're missing the point. We're giving the example, right? The drowning man, you're giving him a loaf of bread. No, the real mercy is to get them out of the material world. Get them out of the ocean of nescience. So we can do that. How do we do it? By representing the message. We're not taking credit. We're also have benefited by this hearing and chanting, so we're representing it to new people. Please hear, or take this book and read this book. I see you're selling books here. That's very good. But this is the proper way to show mercy, not by just patching up the body and giving them food, and then they're going to die anyway. And then where are they going? You can't decide. That'll be decided by higher authorities. So your intention may be good, but you're missing the essence. The essence is we're self-trapped here. We've trapped ourselves. And unless we give them the tools to get out of this cocoon, they'll remain birth after birth, life after life, with no hope of... the hope is always there. But the first sign that hope is being fulfilled is that we meet the devotees. So then we should give our association so that others get that benefit of hearing, of meeting devotees and then getting introduced to Prabhupada and so on. Let's do one more verse. Nahi kaschit kshanam api jatu tishtiyatya akarma krit karyate hyavasya karma gunai sva vivikaya balat. Translation. Not a single living entity can remain unengaged. Good point. Not a single living entity can remain unengaged. You tell a child, okay, just sit there. It's not possible. They're going to be turning, twisting, touching. This is the nature of the soul, is active. We have to be engaged. Even for a moment, Prabhupada said. I'll repeat the sentence. Not a single living entity can remain unengaged even for a moment. One must act by his natural tendency according to the three modes of material nature, because this natural tendency forcefully makes him work in a particular way. So we should do well to study the 14th chapter, where the modes of material nature are described. There's no escape. But we can come to the mode of goodness by proper living, and then there's an escape. The mode of goodness is not an escape in itself, but it affords us escape. The example is given in the airport. Like we go to the airport here in your city, we're still in the city. Köln, is it? Köln. We're still in the city, but from there we can easily get out of the country. So that's the mode of goodness is good in that sense, that you can come to the point of Sudasattva. Sudasattva means transcendental goodness, above the modes of material nature. Prabhupada makes that very clear. Mode of goodness is not sufficient. We have to come to the transcendental platform, which is possible by the mercy of Guru and Krishna. Without their help, we can't do it. But when they see that we are sincerely trying, and the key word is sincerely, then they'll help us. But if we're cheating, like we give the example, near Jalakadasi, if you go in the shower and drink the water from the shower, nobody can know. But you can't fool Krishna, he's in your heart. So we have to become transparent, without duplicity. Arjava means straightforward. This is the quality of the devotee. Bhakti Siddhanta talks about that. He says, Arjavan, or non-duplicity, is synonymous with Vaishnava. If a Vaishnava is tricky, it means he's not a Vaishnava. Otherwise, everybody's tricky. Come, yeah. It's like the spider is inviting the fly. Please, come in, so I can eat you. This is a material world. One living entity is food for another. And so this goes on perpetually. And they have no escape. There's no way till they escape it. Because this is the way Krishna has arranged it. You want to be independent, but you can't. Well, okay, you're insisting. Probably give the example of a child. His daughter, he told us how she wanted to touch the fan that was turning. So he said, no, there's dangers, don't touch it. But she was insisting. So he put the fan on very slow and he put her hand there, and then she pulled it. So this is the nature. Nature is to teach us that we can find happiness in here, in this world. But nobody learns that lesson. They remain up to the deathbed, attached to their family and so on. Therefore, they get another family and remain in the same cycle. Purport. The svabhavika, or one's natural tendency, is the most important factor in action. One's natural tendency is to serve, because a living entity is an eternal servant of God. The living entity wants to serve, but because of his forgetfulness of his relationship with the Supreme Lord, he serves under the modes of material nature and manufactures various modes of service, such as socialism, humanitarianism, and altruism. We see all the good people in the world, they're serving. They're serving their fellow man and so on. Humanitarian work. How is he defined here? Such as socialism. I mean, we have sympathy. Everybody should have a good standard of living. Socialism, humanitarianism, and altruism. However, one should be enlightened in the tenets of Bhagavad Gita and accept the instruction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that one give up all natural tendencies for material service under different names and take to the service of the Lord. So we have to give up our so-called tendency to help to feed the poor or something. We can feed them prasadam, that's different. But otherwise, there's no solution in the altruistic work of this world. It doesn't solve the problem. One's original natural tendency is to act in Krishna consciousness because one's real nature is spiritual. The duty of a human being is to understand that since he is essentially spirit, he must abide by the spiritual tendency and not be carried away by the material tendencies. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has therefore sung, Vichemaya vasayacho besikacho harudubai. My dear brothers, you are being carried away by the waves of material energy and are suffering in many miserable conditions. Sometimes you are drowning in the waves of material nature, and sometimes you are tossed like a swimmer struggling in the ocean. As confirmed by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, this tendency to be battered by the waves of Maya can be changed to one's original natural tendency, which is spiritual, when the living entity comes to understand that he is eternally Krishna Das, a servant of Krishna. Jiv Krishna Das e Vishwas Karitara Dukanai. If instead of serving Maya under different names, one turns his service towards attitude toward the Supreme Lord, he is then saved, and there's no more difficulty. If one returns to his original natural tendency in the human form of life, by understanding the perfect knowledge given by Krishna himself in the Vedic literature, one's life is successful. So, why not become successful? The knowledge is not just for book learning. We know we have some knowledge. No, it's for application. Like Arjuna, he wasn't a big scholar, but he was the one to receive the message, the knowledge from Krishna. And the knowledge is, we were just reading in Bhagavad Gita, night before last. The Yat Karoshi, Yat Jahoshi. Whatever you do it for Krishna. Whatever austerities you perform, everything should be done for pleasing Krishna. So that means we have to know what's pleasing to Krishna. Therefore, Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra are required. They tell us very clearly, just like Krishna said, offer me in love a fruit, a flower, a leaf, not meat or fish or eggs. So we have to accept the Shastra, Vedic literature, Prabhupada is mentioning. And then we'll get the proper understanding of everything. Otherwise, if we speculate, maybe this is pleasing to God, maybe no. There's no maybe. Krishna is a person, he has likes and dislikes. It's like he liked that Yudhishthira should be emperor. He didn't like that Duryodhana was forcing Yudhishthira out of being emperor. And so he arranged the battle of Kurukshetra. Because his devotees were involved. The Pandavas were his devotees. Draupadi was his devotee. So therefore he personally got involved. But for the most cases, he doesn't get involved because neither side is God conscious. They're all in Maya. They're all sinful. It's like I personally wasn't, but there were many young people coming at the time who were very much attracted, to stopping the war in Vietnam and so on. They were doing good work. But Prabhupada told us, no, don't get involved in this kind of work because both sides are wrong. We won't find anybody fighting on principles of religion because they don't know the principles of religion. The bombing children and so on, and women. We see in the Battle of Kurukshetra, there were no women on the battlefield. There were no children. But now the war is, women and children get killed more frequently than the men. Because they just bomb the residential places. So they don't take sides. Just understand, this is the symptom of the Kali Yuga. There's always upheaval, and it should give me impetus to become more serious about my sadhana. More serious to sacrifice something for Krishna's pleasure. We can sacrifice. We were mentioning last night, I think, how we have our words, we have our labor, we have our money, And ultimately we can give ourselves, just like your Swami, such an, what's his name again? Yeah. He's given everything, right? His whole life. So, Atmani Vedana. We can give our life. Why not? Each one of us can give our life. Who can stop you? So then you're giving everything. Then Krishna is obliged. Oh, this person is so sincere. He's giving his whole life for my service. Then Krishna promises that he'll carry what you lack. He'll preserve what you have. He'll help you. But you have to sincerely be giving from your side. Otherwise we see people come to Krishna consciousness and they get some position, they get some money or whatever, and then they go away. That danger is there. That we're coming for a material motive. And so when that motive is fulfilled, we give up Krishna consciousness. So not like that. We should be determined to understand that this is our constitutional position. It's not an artificial imposition to serve Krishna. It's a natural tendency. But instead, we think, what's in it for me? We can't give up the false ego and trying to get an advantage here in this world. And so we come to God for a material advantage, which is a big foolishness. Like Dhruva Maharaj. He underwent so much trouble to find God because he wanted something from God. He wanted a kingdom even greater than his father or grandfather. But when he met Krishna, Krishna showed himself to him because he was so sincere that then he prayed like that. I came looking for broken glass, but now I found a diamond in yourself. So this is that we should come to that conclusion immediately. Prabhupada is bringing us immediately to the point of giving us Krishna. Krishna book is there. We can read all about Krishna. And so we can immediately get attracted to Krishna and try to please him. We don't have to undergo the severe austerity of Dhruva Maharaj, standing on one leg and eating only leaves and so on. We have very nice, it's not so uncomfortable. We have nice facility, nice prasada, everything is nice. Nice music, but we have to take it in the spirit of devotion, spirit of renouncing that everything is there for Krishna's pleasure. Then we'll be taken care of. Okay, any questions? Maybe I'll read this last verse again. Not a single living entity can remain unengaged, even for a moment. One must act by his natural tendency according to the three modes of material nature, because his natural tendency foolishly makes him work in a particular way. Therefore, we don't say stop working, but work yukta vairagya, work for the pleasure of Krishna. You're making business, Prabhupada sometimes says. You like to make business? Okay, good. Make millions of dollars for Krishna. But instead, they make $1 million for themselves and their family. We met in Florida the richest Indian man in America. Huge house he had. He wouldn't bring us to his house. I offered, I said, we could come to your house sometime and have bhajan. And he looked at me like I was a low-class Sudra. What? You coming to my house? So he had so much money, but he built this huge house and he brought all his relatives from India. It was all just an extension of himself. He didn't know how to spend them. I even said to him, because I related one pastime I had with Srila Prabhupada. We were living at John Lennon's estate in London, a big estate, and he had, he was making a lake there and so many things. Beautiful house. And he had a driver, his name was John, big guy, and Prabhupada asked me when I was giving him a massage, he said, this man, he's the driver for John? I said, yeah. And what else does he do? I said, no, Prabhupada, he's just a driver. Prabhupada said, that's the sign of a rich man. You can keep people, you maybe only use them 10 minutes a day, but you stay. So in case I need a driver, you're immediately. So Prabhupada said, that's a sign of a rich man. And I got a little enthusiastic about John's wealth. I said, yes, Prabhupada, he's very rich. And Prabhupada looked at me like I had a bad smell. He said, what is the use of his money? He doesn't know how to spend it. But so I told this big rich man this story. He didn't like it. No, we're spending, we're building, we're bringing schools into Africa, because he was an Indian who had been living in Africa for hundreds of years, his forefathers. So he was attached to we're always in Nairobi or someplace. We're making schools for the children. So they're thinking that, they're equating that kind of altruism that Prabhupada talks about with devotional service, but there's a complete gulf between them. One is good work that keeps you in the material world, and the other is transcendental work which liberates you. But they have no idea. You can't explain to them. They think that they're so proud because they're successful. Everybody comes to them, touches their feet, because they have so much money. That's what they do. Therefore, it says in the Bible, right? Harder for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of God than it is for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle. You can't do it. So we're lucky we weren't so rich, right? None of you were rich, are you? Your parents are rich? Huh? I want to meet them if they are. Okay, any questions, comments?
Скажите, пожалуйста, встретить духовного учителя в нашем случае преданных искон, это означает встретить Шрилу Прабхупаду или какие-то еще другие варианты?
In our case, to meet a spiritual master in ISKCON, does it mean to meet Srila Prabhupada, or it can mean something else also?
No. The spiritual master that you meet now, he's not Prabhupada. How can you think that he's Prabhupada? We're all individuals. But he can help you to get to know Prabhupada. He can help you to be Krishna conscious, so therefore they're valuable. But they're not the same. That was the disease, right? When Prabhupada left, the gurus thought they were on the same level as Prabhupada, but Prabhupada was a Mahabhagavat, empowered by Lord Nityananda, Shaktavesh, to spread this movement all over the world. And we're just taking advantage of that, but we shouldn't think that we're on the same level with Prabhupada. The ISKCON gurus, now at least, they don't think like that. They understand to keep Prabhupada in the center. But in the beginning, the argument was Guru is one. I'm a guru, so I'm the same level as Prabhupada. That was a mistake.
Вы могли бы что-нибудь рассказать, что означает свобода выбора, где она начинается, где заканчивается, и может быть что-то еще?
Could you please explain us what does it mean to have a free choice, where it starts and where it ends, our
Yeah.
free choice?
No, we're eternal. The free choice is always there with us. It never ends. We are like the sun and the sunlight. You say, well, the sunlight is coming from the sun, but both of them. There's never sun without sunlight. So there's never Krishna without the living entities. We're eternal. We've always existed. And we've always had a free will. Minute free will. The free will really consists, either we remain with Krishna or we turn away from him. That's our free choice. So we've chosen to remove ourselves from Krishna's association, and now we can choose to go back by our own desire. Just like Prahlad. By the mercy of his guru, Narada Muni, who spoke to him in the womb, spoke to his mother in the womb, and he heard the instruction. He was a devotee from birth, and nobody could check that. His father was the most powerful materialist. All the teachers, all the ministers, they tried in every way to stop his devotional service. They couldn't, because he wanted it, that's all. So that's your choice. You want Krishna or you want Maya? Even in the spiritual world, that choice is there. But you won't take Maya. The majority of living entities never choose Maya. They remain with Krishna loyally throughout eternity. But some living entities misuse their independence.
Вот в материальном мире просто мы настолько находимся в невежестве, что практически можно сказать, что свобода выбора, она почти что подходит к отметке нуля.
In the material world, we are in such deep ignorance that we can say that our free will can be compared with zero. Like we don't have this free will.
No, that's not true.
Нет, это не так.
The free will is always there. Especially in human form of life, we get the opportunity of the human form of life. Therefore, there's some urgency. Now we have human form of life. We should take advantage. We should inquire. Atata Brahma Jigyasya. Who am I? Why am I suffering? Why do we want to remain like animals? Animals eating, sleeping, mating, defending. Therefore, Bhagavatam classifies the men who just remain as animals as Dvipadapasu. Means two-legged animals. Same business is there as a four-legged animal. Eating, sleeping, mating, defending. But in human form of life, we have developed consciousness, intelligence. We can turn to Krishna. By mercy of Guru and Krishna, we can qualify to enter the spiritual world. This is the whole basis of preaching. Why Prabhupada is coming with so much trouble and preaching in old age, at the heart attack, seasickness. Why is he spending all night translating these books? Because preaching, it can give people that positive alternative. Otherwise, free will is there. Even in the animals, they have free will to go on this side. Like we give the example of a cow. She's tied up by the rope to the tree, but she can go on this side of the tree or this side of the tree. But there's always some freedom. But it's within deterring limits. Still not satisfied.
В принципе, понятно, но я хочу все-таки понять, что невежество, оно очень сильно ограничивает свободу. Это правда?
Yes, I agree, but still I want to understand that thus the ignorance limits our free will, our ignorance.
If we act ignorantly, like this verse is saying, we're always acting. So if we act in ignorance, then we'll become like the worm in the cocoon. That example is being given, right? So once you're wrapped in the cocoon, then it looks like you don't have any freedom. But that's a self-created cocoon. So does that worm have freedom? Not so much. Because he's limited himself by his own misdeeds. Therefore, give up sinful life. Sinful life it binds you. You become addicted. The smoking cigarettes, you become addicted. Illicit sex, you become addicted. Alcohol, you become addicted. Therefore, don't addict yourself. Then you become limited like the worm in the cocoon. But for devotee, we're becoming free. Regulated principles of freedom. We're becoming free. Then we can see clearly we have a choice. We see, here's Maya and here's Krishna. And I want Krishna. I'm not going to serve Maya. It becomes clear to us by mercy of Guru and Krishna. What is what? What is the actual reality? We can see clearly. But those who are in the cocoon, they can't see. But for us, human beings, you're here in this temple room, so you have freedom. You don't have to stay with us. We hope you stay, but it's your choice. You can go even right now. Get up, pack your bags, and never see the devotee. Or who can stop you? It's a voluntary process. Because we have, by constitution, we have some minute independence. Next question.
Last I read that one cannot go to Krishna unless one is chosen by him.
Yeah, but who does he choose? Krishna is controlled by his devotion, by somebody's devotion. Krishna is not. He's under the control of the pure devotees. Krishna will choose, yes, he does choose, but because he himself is controlled. Just like this picture is there. The elderly gopis, they're playing with baby Krishna, and they're going this way, and Krishna's going this way, and they're going this way. They're controlling Krishna out of love. They're making him dance. But.
But to develop this love, it comes not all of a sudden.
No, therefore we're taking a process. It's called sadhana bhakti, step by step. First we have to give up things that are not pleasing to Krishna. No illicit sex, no intoxication. No. These things are not pleasing to Krishna. It may take a long time. Maybe in this lifetime you won't be able to finish. But you started. Hopefully, Prabhupada is encouraging us. We can finish in this one lifetime. Finish our attachment to material things, which bind us. We want to be free. These are the regulated principles of freedom. No illicit sex, no intoxication, no gambling, no meditating. And positive side, chant 16 rounds. Prabhupada he didn't discount that. Every letter. Please chant your 16 rounds. Follow four regulated principles. This is our duty. We take a vow when we get initiated. In front of the deity, we say, yes, I will follow these four regulated principles and chant 16 rounds for the rest of my life. But we should try our best to follow that. And if we do fail, we should lament. We should be honestly ashamed of our misbehavior and then again start. And with a vow not to again make the same mistake. This is required. Otherwise it becomes the ninth offense, is it? Committing sinful activity on the strength of chant. No. Seventh. Huh?
Seventh, to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name.
Okay. It's a struggle. We've been in the material world since time immemorial. Naturally we were attached. We've been attached. And we see that the whole world is attached, and it doesn't bring them happiness. The Russians are attached to Putin because he's Russian. The Jews are attached to the Palestinians, and they're killing each other as we talk. So that kind of attachment, no, we want to be attached to Krishna. Otherwise, everybody's attached to the family. That was Arjuna's disease also. How can I fight? These are my family members. My former teacher, my grandfather, Bhishma. You want me to fight them, Krishna? How is that? And what does Krishna say? Kutas. Where have these impurities come? How have these impurities come upon you? That you have to understand. This kind of attachment is just a sentiment. There's a higher principle, the truth. But nobody's looking for the truth. And Krishna says, I am the truth, personified. Therefore he spoke Bhagavad Gita, you should follow what I say. Krishna said. Krishna doesn't. He's not embarrassed to declare that he's the source of everything material and spiritual, that he's God. He's saying very clearly, although he's humble, as I said, he's even controlled by his devotees, but still, he is very clear. He knows his position. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. From him, everything material and spiritual is coming. He's the cause of all causes. Ishvara Parama Krishna. He's the Supreme Ishvara, Supreme Controller. Ishvara Parama Krishna. Such that his body is full of his knowledge, eternity, and bliss. And he's the Sarvakarnakan. He's the cause of all causes. Krishna's position is like that. So why not worship him? If we worship him, then quickly we can be delivered from this ocean of birth and death. He quickly gives us liberation from the Mukunda, one who gives liberation from the ocean of birth and death. Where is that? We have Bhagavad Gita? Chapter the hell chapter is it? Fifth? No. Why can't I remember the chapter? I want to say 15, but I don't know if that's right. No. Try chapter 12. Text 6 and 7. I don't think that's right though. What is that? Where Krishna said,
But those who worship me, giving up all their activities unto me and being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service and always meditating upon me, having fixed their minds upon me, O son of Pritha, for them I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death.
that's what I was thinking. That's right. Swift deliverer. He'll quickly deliver us from this ocean of birth and death. But we have to put him in the center and worship him with all our hearts. Christ said the same thing. When he was asked, well, what are you doing? What's your... he said, yes, what we're doing is we're trying to love God with our whole heart, our whole soul, our whole mind, and our neighbor as ourselves. He gave it in the synopsis. There it is. Love God with your whole heart, your whole soul, your whole mind. But how can they love God? They don't know what he looks like, what he does, how his activity. So we have an advantage. We have Krishna book. It describes so many places what are Krishna's activities. We have Bhagavad Gita, Krishna personally coming and speaking. We see. And he's offering us here in this verse, I'll swiftly deliver you from the ocean of birth and death. But you have to worship me with all your heart, with all your soul. But now we say, well, what about, no, I don't know. Because we're attached to ourselves first, a false ego. What's in it for me? If I give everything to Krishna, I'll have nothing. That's how we think. So surrender is difficult because of our misuse of independence. But we have independence to turn to God or turn away from him. So we've turned away from him since time immemorial. But now he's coming. He's sending his Shaktavesh avatar, Srila Prabhupada, to canvass on his behalf. Come, live with us. Nice institution we have. We'll provide for you. But you have to be fully devoted. Otherwise, Prabhupada said, don't have them move in a temple unless they're ready to understand what they're getting involved in. Otherwise, they'll be discouraged and they'll leave and they won't come back. So at the beginning, we have to see what is the candidate. Is he qualified to live in the temple? Does he understand what's involved? But don't bring them immaturely to the temple, to live in the temple. Otherwise, everybody's welcome to come. But when you live in the temple, then you're under the authority of the temple. You have to follow. It's not any more a choice. You have to. You have to get up. At least in most temples. I don't know about here. But in most temples, the temple devotees are required to come to Mangalarti. That was the system in Prabhupada's time. That means you have to go to bed on time so you can get up and shut off the internet and take rest. Okay, anyone else? Mataji.
We're speaking about attachments, that we have to renounce the attachments.
It's a material thing.
Right, so we have attachments, but we have also certain duties. We have also certain duties towards our parents or our children.
So those we can do, but not with over attachment. We do it as a duty. Yeah, you can serve your parents up to the point where, like Bhakti Siddhanta says, he was asked about anger. He said, yes, first we should be angry with ourselves for our laziness, for our lack of being serious about Krishna consciousness. And we should chide ourselves. The second anger we can use, he gives three kinds of angers that we have. Second anger, we can be angry with our family, that they're demanding. You serve me, don't serve Krishna. I'm more important than Krishna. So no. We can help them according to our capacity, but the main thing is that we're serving Krishna and Guru. That takes precedent. And they both can go parallel lines. But if we have to choose between service to Krishna or service to our parents, if the parents don't give us an alternative, that we can chant Hare Krishna in their midst and so on, we can offer our food to Krishna in their kitchen, then we can give that up. Like who is the great Acharya? Ramanuja Samacharya? His wife gave birth and she died at childbirth, but the child was there. But he immediately took it and he took sannyas, left the child to the parents and to the grandparents and so on. So what you can say, that's very... Huh? Ramanuja. You might say this is very cruel. He doesn't care for his own child. And Prabhupada also, we gave the example. He left his family, his daughter wasn't married, but his Guru Maharaj was calling him. So that we have to see. What are the circumstances? What are the details of that service they want from you? They want you to become a meat eater and cook for them meat. And then you can say, no, I'm not going to do it. Anyone else?
As you said, we do devotional service sincerely. So what does it mean to do something sincerely?
Prabhupada was asked that. How do we become sincere? That's your question? Prabhupada said, no, there's not a technique to become sincere. You become sincere by being sincere. It's not something you learn in a book. It comes from your heart. You sincerely try your best. Otherwise you cheat. You can try to cheat Krishna, but he's the biggest cheater. Okay, anyone else? Then what's the next?
How can I understand practically, not only theoretically, that there's nothing to enjoy in this material world?
Correct. Practically. It's chewing the chewed. Been there, seen that, done that. We see the people who have everything, they become bored and callous, and then they try, they're not satisfied with ordinary sex life. They want kinky sex life, upside down, backwards. Because then they can't be satisfied. Therefore, like I said, they're singing the most famous, the most popular song. I can't get no satisfaction. Because nobody can get satisfied in this world. It's like chewing the chewed. The sugar cane, there's no juice there. None, zero. Prabhupada is very clear about that. There's no happiness in the world, in this material world. What appears to be happiness is just some relief. Sometimes the example is given. We're very cold, and we put on a jacket, and oh, that feels so good. What it means is it feels good because it's reducing the suffering. The natural condition is suffering. We suffer at birth. The child is suffering, being pushed out of the womb. The mother is suffering. And we suffer at old age and disease and death. But in between, we're flapping along, thinking, oh, now we're happy. What is that happiness? Okay, anyone else? Yeah.
As a personal question, right? Do you have plans to come more often to Germany to guidance and your association?
Very kind of you to invite me. We haven't made our plan yet. You have to speak to my secretary. No, I mean, I decide actually. And I first I want to finish this tour that we're on. I haven't been in Germany in a long time, and I'm inspired. Nice people, and I was also in Spain and Holland, and so Gauradesh in Amsterdam, and so I've been very inspired on this journey. So I don't see why I won't come back, but I haven't put it in writing yet, so to speak. Okay, we'll stop here. Bhagavad Gita ki, Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. So what? Yeah, in other words, it's a controversy or a dilemma for you, how much you should serve your mother.
It's not a dilemma, but I'm kind of a duty-bound person. But
Yeah.
it's my nature to